Good morning. I had a little trouble doing the devotion yesterday, so I just gave up. We didn't have it. So this morning, we're going to talk about Esther. Esther becomes queen. King Xerxes had offered the officials in his empire to find the most beautiful woman in the country, or women, not woman, women, and bring them to his palace in the city of Susa. Esther was one of the women that was chosen. She was brought to the royal palace where she and the other women were given clothes and perfumes and lotions and meanwhile Mordecai, which was her cousin that raised her, he adopted her. He advised her not to tell the officials or the king that she was Jewish. Everyone admired Esther, and when the time came for her to be presented to the king, he liked her more than any of the other women. He actually fell in love with her. He put a royal crown on her head, and he made her queen of Vashti's palace. Then the king threw a big banquet, and he declared a holiday and handed out gifts. So my question to you right now is, can God use ordinary people? Well, Esther grew up an ordinary child. In fact, her people had been brought to Babylon as slaves, and she was an orphan. She didn't have parents. That's why Mordecai, her cousin, adopted her. God often uses ordinary people rather than great people whose hearts are filled with pride. Jesus said, "For everyone who exalts himself will be humbled, and he who humbles himself will be exalted." That's in Luke 18:14. So what that means, being humble means not being full of pride, not being, you pat yourself on the back and say, "I'm so good." That's being full of pride. And in the Bible, there are lots of stories about ordinary people that God used. Joseph, Gideon, we talked about Gideon, David, and Daniel. We talked about Daniel the other day. Esther may have thought about the message that Jeremiah had sent to the people in Babylon. In Jeremiah 29:11, it says, "For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you hope and a future." For years, life had been hard for Esther, yet God had blessed her and put her in the palace where he could use her to bring hope and a future to his people. And the verses I want to share with you today are from 1 Corinthians chapter 1, verses 26 and 27. "Brothers and sisters, look at what you were when God called you. Not many of you were wise in the way the world judges wisdom. Not many of you had great influence. Not many of you came from important families. But God chose the foolish things of the world to shame the wise, and he chose the weak things of the world to shame the strong." God uses ordinary people every day. I did not grow up in a wealthy family. The preacher did not grow up in a wealthy family. I did not even grow up in a family that regularly attended church. Literally, I only went to VBS, and I was forced to do that. And now, I'm the preacher's wife. I have a little bit of influence in my church, I hope, and I'm doing this Bible lesson every day for you. I hope that God is using me like he did Queen Esther, and I hope you let him use you like he did Queen Esther. Don't pat yourself on the back and say how good you are. Stay that ordinary person that God can use. I'll see you tomorrow.